for Black Girl Nerds.
Super duper excited to talk to you again. This time for new reasons, new show. Two women who I admire greatly now have their own platform to talk about the things they want to talk about in the manner of which they want to talk about them. What how was the road to Vice? How did this even come about?
A friend of ours named Sharita Johnson had a friend at Vice by the name of Marsha Cook that happened to be two very powerful brown women who were very instrumental in making sure that our show got on the air or our concept was heard. And it has been really a good growing process for all of us because we've learned so much. Everything is done differently and we work differently and move differently. Jamel says she's here, but
Yep.
she's not. I don't think she's on the right. Oh, there she is. She's coming in. Here she
She's
comes.
popping in.
She's popping in. But, it worked out well and it's perfect. Like, we're happy about it. In terms of, being able to have this venue and, some things are sacrifices. You take some, you lose some. But at this point, I'll take the win that we're getting with having our own show right now.
It's well deserved. Hello, Ms. Hill. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry about that. I had a little work getting done on my house right now, so I had to talk to the plumber.
No trouble. I wish somebody was doing some work around here because I need some work done to this house too. But like I was just telling Carrie, I'm so honored to talk to both of you. I'm a great admirer of both of your work. I've watched you for many years. I started a little bit in sports and moved more into the entertainment side. And now I'm happy to see two Black women that I've admired for many years have this opportunity to do things on their own terms and in a way they want to. I was just asking Carrie what the road was to Vice for the two of you to land there, and she filled me in on how it all came together and you all landed there. But when I think back, I think of the both of you, even though you weren't on the same shows at your former employer, you were both there.
Yeah.
And were there revolution talks happening around the proverbial water cooler even back then of a possible way of coming together and doing this like you all are going to do now?
Kind of organically. I mean, I don't know if it was, we didn't have an official Black Power rally, at the water cooler or anything, but I think both of us, the one thing that makes this alignment so perfect is that we both, there was something in us that told us that there was more out there available. And, more you can use as a nebulous term, whether that be more opportunities, a bigger chance at a bigger platform, whatever it was. And I think organically, Carrie and I knew that we had chemistry, not just as friends, but something that would translate and be relatable to a lot of people. And when this opportunity came up to work together, which was totally engineered by Carrie, I had 7 million things going on. Mm-hmm. And she was the one who was persistent and, was just like, we're about to do this. And so I think, they often say that, there's no such thing as luck. It's just when preparation meets opportunity. And That's kind of truly what this was. Mm-hmm. We had already been preparing for this moment. I think with us both making that turn into being entrepreneurs, it just made this just a really seamless transition to go from, sort of that heavy corporate media environment to, being in a position where we're doing more things on our own or things that we drove and were led by us.
Mm-hmm. With the title Stick to Sports, we know where it comes from, and it's really the perfect title for the show. Was that always going to be the title, or was it an aha moment like this is what we need to call it? Carrie?
No, it wasn't actually. We had another name, but this was always going to be a part of the show, whether it was going to be a segment within the show. And it just, I guess, as different heads got together and we started to talk about it more and more, everyone realized we didn't necessarily like the original title. I was okay with it, but it's just, these are one of those things where it's collective. Communication is key, which we learn a lot in this business. We got to communicate, otherwise everything will fall through the cracks. And so now we're just kind of, we played with the name, and it's perfect. And our first guest is LeBron James, and he's a poster child for Stick to Sports. So it's good. We've been on a media tour all these last 3 days, straight up. You might see us at our energy is like low, but we've been up since 3 a.m. every morning, hustling our time and doing our thing. So we are excited about this show. We think it's a great title, and we're gonna. I think tonight, if you watch, you'll really enjoy it. It's a good show. It's a good first run out there.
Now, I've read the show description, but there's going to be people who have their own biases, pro and con, for the two of you. That's no secret. I know what the show is. What is this show not, for people who are going into it with these preconceived notions, Jamil?
It's not a sports show. They need to know that up front. That while we'll discuss sports when it's applicable, when it's an issue where we can take a 10,000-foot view or something. But if they turn to this and expect us to break down the NBA playoffs, then they're turning into the wrong show.
Why not?
Yeah, not that we could do that, but that's not kind of the intent of the show. And what it's also not is it's not a place where you can be sensitive. And that's not Carrie and I we're not shock jocks. We're not people who try to intentionally say things to create a reaction. We both respect the truth. And it doesn't have to be our truth necessarily, or truth that we agree with. And so people, they have a tendency to want you to sugarcoat things. And I don't think that's really in either of our testimonies to do that. So they can expect, that we will be very honest about how we feel and about other things that we see in current events, pop culture, sports, entertainment, and politics. And of course, they can expect that every show that you're going to get our best. This is a passion project. It means a lot to us. Our names are on the show. So we can't afford to put out some, half-ass product. Like, there's a lot that we're pouring into this. A lot of our energy, our time, everything. So I think that the people will be very satisfied with what they get. That's not to suggest that it'll be perfect the first time they see it, but we're certainly going to strive for perfection throughout this show.
Along with that pouring into it, you both are highly intelligent women. And it used to be a tendency that people felt they had to kind of water down the news, or kind of, for lack of a better term, dumb it down. Do you think, Carrie, that since people have been driven home now and are consuming probably more content than they have previously, do you expect people to be more dialed in, to have more intelligent conversations? Do you feel like you have to maybe bring it to bite sizes? Like, how deep do you anticipate going into any of the issues you're going to discuss?
I think that that's the beauty of the show. I think that, Jamel will give you 15 layers. She will give you, sorry about that. Let me just decline. I'm always getting phone calls. Jamel will give you 15 layers. She'll give you the layer on the layer on the layer, which is always beautiful, which is why I love that of her. I will tell you what I think just off rip and how it feels. So you'll get a little bit of both. Mine comes from more of a passionate point of view, where I believe in right and wrong. I just do. Call me crazy. I guess people don't believe in that anymore. I have an analytical approach towards what's going on in the world, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be a better human, and I hope that people can see that, and they'll be able to understand. That'll be usually my perspective. Jay will give you 20 more perspectives and break it all down for you. And I'm like, you do that. You go ahead, scientist. And I think it's going to be something for everyone. And when you go to a restaurant, your favorite restaurant usually offers something you like, and everybody's not going to like the same thing, but they're not going to dislike something either. I may like the burger, but every now and again I might get the chicken. So, if I want the chicken, it's good too. I'm in the mood for that, because that's good too. But, I'm going to stick with my usual. I think you'll feel that way. Great television pairings, great television shows, great networks offer different POVs, but respectfully. And Jamel said it the best. if you are sensitive, that is not in our testimony. We have a tendency to tell you like it TI is. It is what it is. Shut up.
It is.
Is what it is.
And that's
You
what
know,
this
when I saw some of the clips, I mean, you guys are not playing around. You guys are clearly you ladies are clearly very comfortable with each other, and just the look and the feel. It's almost like, you know, kind of eavesdropping on a conversation between two colleagues, two close girlfriends. Jamil, what can you tell me more about the look and the feel of the show when the guests are involved? You know, how interactive are they? Are they there specifically to talk about the topical issues that you're going to bring to them? Are they going to be bringing in projects that they're working on, a mixture of all of that? What is that look and feel going to be like with the guests?
Well, I mean, I'll take the LeBron interview, for example. You know, we could have had an entire just purely basketball conversation with LeBron, but we know one of the things that's very important to him, probably the chief thing most important to him right now, is voter suppression. And so we spent a lot of time talking about voter suppression. We discussed the first time he voted about, you know, kind of what he plans to do from a civic standpoint to be involved politically in this election. And there's a lot of initiatives that he wants to do. And the fact that he's attacked something like voter suppression is very admirable. You know, voter suppression is not your typical issue that you see athletes getting involved in. It's usually, you know, cancer or something that you can get in and out of, so to speak, right? But when you're taking on voter suppression, you're talking about dismantling something that's so systemic and ingrained in our country. And so for him to be involved in this and to collaborate and to pull together some key power brokers, that's certainly worthy of a conversation. And of course, you know, we have some fun with him too, and asking him about the Lakers, about how his youngest child is a YouTube star. She might be bigger than him and never pick up a basketball. So, yeah, so it's we want to give a multifaceted look. We had a conversation with Cori Bush, that's also in the show. That was a very different conversation because she's got a very powerful testimony. You know, she's a single mother. She was homeless. She's a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault. And oh, by the way, she's probably going to be the next representative in Congress for District 1 in Missouri, the St. Louis area. And for her to have gone from protesting on the streets of Ferguson into many people considering her a rising star in politics, that's an incredible story. Because at the end of the day, what people have to remember, despite the fact that they're certainly going to be able to laugh with us, that they'll see us poke fun at each other, that there's an entertainment value to this show, at the root of it, Carrie and I are journalists. And that was where we cut our teeth. And so we believe in storytelling, we believe in accountability, and we believe in getting at the truth. And those are things we want to do with our guests. And it doesn't necessarily have to come in the wheelhouse of what they're known for. If they're passionate about a topic, they can talk about it with us. You know, we taped an interview with Charles Barkley. I mean, I don't think we discussed basketball at all. Right. I mean, we talked about a lot of things, you know.
Well, we did. He did say my Lakers were.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did insult Carrie. So actually, I shouldn't have mentioned Charles Barkley's interview, because if Carrie's Lakers lose, you may never see it. So
that's my Lakers too. That's my Lakers.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
yes, and it's her Lakers too. She's a closet.
They are not my Lakers. I'm not against the Lakers. It's just, you know, they're not really.
That's not your team.
It's just not quite my team. I know the way my team is playing. I'm a Pistons fan. I need to adopt a new team. But at any rate, but no, all jokes aside, is that I think that's one thing that we hope to bring it out in our guests, is the layers that they have, the things that they're passionate about and interested in. And sometimes that may lead to some good, you know, some good, honest debate. I mean, we went back and forth with Chuck a lot about some things. And so I think people will like to hear that kind of interplay between us and our guests.
Absolutely. Lastly, Carrie, looking back, you guys are journalists. You came from the traditional route, college, and really truly studied the craft. Yeah. Looking back at what you learned early in college and those early journalist beginnings, could you ever even have envisioned getting to this point of being able to report the news this way? Because it used to be you go on TV or the paper, and that's it. No gray.
That's a great question. I thought it would always be like reports said, allegedly this, it's interesting because I watch local news now every so often. One of my mentees is in local news, and it's a different way of telling a story. And I see the transition from what I thought only news could be locally, and the way in which you tell a story, and the way you're supposed to present. And it forces you to tell yourself you do have to be completely neutral, but that's impossible. I think people don't tell stories from a neutral stand. I know they try, but at the very least, you have to be fair. Like, you have to realize and have some self-awareness that the way that you present whatever story you present, you're going to always come in with a side or a POV. I don't care what anybody says, but the goal is to just present the facts in a way that you think other people can digest them. And now we're leaning towards a world where when we report the news, what we're reporting on, for instance, like, the president is so far to the other side where he's so biased, you can't help but to present it another way, because there's a whole network dedicated to lies. And all networks, by the way, now have their own perspective. Everyone's skewed. I don't think anybody does objective journalism anymore. Maybe Jamel might be the last soldier.
Not even me.
But it's just, I would have never thought that as a kid. The way that I saw it was beef, present, do this, not subjective, objective, but that's not the world we live in. There's nuance. And I think that's one thing you don't learn in journalism school. A class should be called Nuance 101, especially with the advent of social media.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So proud to see you and feel like I see myself on TV. Thank you, ladies. I'm looking forward to it greatly.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.